there was a couple sea lions. From time to time there'd be sea lions that would swim around with us. And, you know, we saw tons of them on the beach all the time. But it was like going into like their world. When we were snorkeling, it was like jumping in to where they live, where they play, where they eat. And it was just so different to watch them swim around rather than just to lay on the beach and nap. A revolution of a change of thinking of how one animal, you know, lives and stuff like that. You always see one side of it, and then all of a sudden you thrust into more of their world, and it's like you have a total new perspective of them. And that's what I felt towards that sea lion.
When I held the millipede, fear. But I guess it wasn't like total fear of the animal, I just don't like bugs. Yeah. But then when it got on me, it was like overwhelming. But I felt like I didn't want to hurt the bug, so I had to be calm.
We saw a shark and Esteban kind of poked it out and it kind of swam right by me. And I don't think I've ever felt as helpless as I did when it swam by me. It's like, what am I going to do if it attacks me? And that's kind of the first experience I've had with an animal that they kind of had all the power and I didn't have anything. So that was pretty amazing and at the same time really, really scary and terrifying.
The tortoises, the wild tortoises, and just being in such close proximity to them and hearing them breathe, and being able to like just be right there next to them.
We saw. You probably weren't expecting. But that was really, really, like, so big and otherworldly. It was really cool.
I would have to say swimming with like the 4 or 5 sea turtles that I saw all in the same place. That was cool. I like that.
I have to say it was the Galapagos as a whole, because we got to see nature in such a pristine way that, yes, there are towns, but the parts that we saw were so untouched by people, even with all the restoration efforts by the park rangers. It was fascinating to see these animals, these wild animals, that normally when we see wild animals, they run from us, but these animals were curious about us. So that was really, for me, being able to really watch animals in their natural habitat and see how they live, and just sit there and be by them and experience things from them.
At the Galapagos, when the albatross was going off the edge, that was just, and we were standing on the edge with it. It was just really like moving to me.
There was one point when we were in that lava tube in the Galapagos, I forget what time it was, when we all turned off our lights and everybody stopped talking and stopped breathing. Just that moment of complete silence when almost like the ringing in your ears are deafening. I've only experienced that one other time before in my life, and I think that's amazing, that you kind of forget that there's so much noise going around all the time until there's a complete absence of sound.
I think just some of the underwater landscapes that we've seen when we were snorkeling in the Galapagos, especially if you dove down a bit so you were holding your breath and you couldn't hear yourself breathing, and just kind of taking in everything around you. That, like, it was otherworldly because of the ocean. That's not our element. And it's just kind of awe-inspiring.
Yesterday, on the drawbridge trail at Machu Picchu, when you're about 1 foot away from falling 2,000 feet into a wild forest completely unsettled. That was definitely awe-inspiring. I mean, or sublime.
Back at the Galapagos again, when we were snorkeling, and we, if you can remember when we went into the cave, one of those big, really big caves, God, when we swam in there, and not only was it just dark and the waves just kind of crashing against the walls, the strength of the tide, the current was just, I mean, pushing you back and forth, and it was really a struggle to get in and get out. Just trying to, stay afloat and stuff like that. I felt, man, like I am so insignificant right now to the tide, to the current, to this cave. There's nothing really, I mean, it's totally in its own, it's totally under its own power, its own control, and I have no way I can, attempt to change the forces that are going on in this cave, besides swimming for my life, getting out of there. And that was really a really good moment, because it was like, man, sometimes you can feel really powerful and really like in control, and other times you can feel totally helpless. And that on this trip, that was really that sublime, awe-inspiring moment of, wow, I am very insignificant.
I think it was like either the first or second day on the Galapagos where I got Espanola, and we had seen all the boobies, and we'd gone to the cliff where the albatross were taking off. Just standing at that cliff is where I had my kind of moments of we're not the only creatures on this planet kind of deal. Humans aren't such a big deal, so that was my moment.
In Peru, when we were kind of walking along the Inca Trail, and there's just these huge mountains towering over you, and you just are thinking, wow, this can't be real. But at the same time, it's like, I'm in this most amazing place. I'd feel like that would be the most sublime moment I've had this trip, where I just feel in awe of everything around me. You just realize you're not everything. Would be the best sentence to describe the feeling I had. Like, you're not that important in life as you think you are.